I know it was a high point for the show. I knew it was going to be a high point for the show, and that's why I was so giddy and so like emotional about it, because I knew what that scene meant after, because we'd already filmed the show. The show, when I left Ukraine the first time, that was done. It was over. I was getting ready to go back to be with Lana on my own trip. Nothing to do with the show. And at the very last second, Lana said, and I made the comment that, hey, you know, if you did the show, you would have got like 3 years salary. And she said, yeah, I know, but a couple of days after that, she said, okay, I'll try. And the rest you got to see. But that was a total, I knew what that scene was going to mean. And it's weird because every time that I see that scene of us meeting, I'm kind of used to it now, so it doesn't bring tears to my eyes as much anymore. But every time I was seeing that scene of us meeting, of her coming up the steps, which was like 10 takes, so now you know kind of somewhat why she looked kind of out of it or not interested. It's because after you do 10 takes, you know, some of them are going to be weak, and the show is going to use the worst one they can. Like, do you remember the Bears All show that I did, where they wanted me to ride the unicycle out on the stage, and at the end when I go to get off of it, the stage is super slippery. I'm wearing dress shoes, and I step my foot off, and super slippery. My left foot just went right out from under me, and I went down on my ass. I got up and I said, "Oh no, we're going to do it again. That's, you know, we got to do another take." And so I did a second take, perfect. Which one did they show? The one where I fall on my ass. But so you can guarantee that if they will film something over and over again until they get something stupid, and that's the one they're going to use. That's how the show works. But so you never get to see what, you know, you never get to see what is really going on, and that's why so many people say, well, where do you get where do you think they get those characters? You know, where do they find these people? Mostly they're just normal people. And then they edit them and make them look like that. I'm sure that's what it is. You know, having been there and done it, I can't say anything about other couples because I have no idea, you know, what their story is or what's really going on. And then you got some couples like, okay, Paul is Paul, you know, and you got some other couples. I mean, if you're a woman and you're going to go get a guy in a Muslim country, there's going to be some issues there. There's going to be some issues, and I don't know how they do it. There's one successful couple there, or two actually. Actually, Ziad is a cool guy, and there's the guy with the young girl that's a dentist. The guy's a dentist. They're making it, I think. But the rest of these, you can't. If you're gonna marry a guy from a Muslim country, you gotta be prepared to bring all of his baggage, all of his Muslimness, you know, with it. So yeah, she's had lots of time to practice, and she only needed to learn how to speak and listen to it. She was already fluent in reading and writing because she would just, you know, if you've been on chat for that many years, hours and hours a day, you learn from typing and reading. So she didn't know how to listen to it. So she's gotten better with that. But like people say, oh yeah, look at her on Cameo. Well, yeah, look at her on Cameo. Look at her eyes. You'll see she's reading it. She's not speaking. She's writing everything ahead of time, and then she's just reading it. And that beginning phrase for her, I wrote that for her. And so she thinks about for Cameo, she thinks about what she wants to say, writes it down, translates it so she knows what it sounds like, and then she can say it. I knew I had to break away from it because she was getting less and less what I wanted for my life. I don't think she wanted to she didn't want to have anything to do with filming, basically. So that was kind of at a point where I just stopped talking to her because it wasn't going to be. I didn't think we were going to go anywhere. She wasn't making enough effort to try and travel to the places we were trying to travel to. And so if somebody can't, in my life, I'm going to be planning 10 trips at the same time because it's going to be one trip after another, after another, after another. I couldn't even get help from her to schedule one trip. Gas in Vegas is about $6 a gallon for the most part. For the most part. But they sure fake stuff there too. But if I came here with a girl, I might do it. I'm not going to do before the 90 days again, that's for sure. There is no time to even meet a girl. They want you to go over there and not ever see the girl until the show. And so there's no time for date on before the 90 days. You don't have any time to date the girl, to do things with the girl. Cameras are on all the time. Now with the regular 90-day fiance, that's 90 days. So they're not filming you for 90 days. They're coming back like every week and doing like 2 days a week or 2 days every 2 weeks or something like that to film. And you've got time to be with your girl or your person, but you're already engaged. You already had all your dating before you got engaged, so those people know each other anyway. There shouldn't be any question about getting married. So I always say, if you got somebody here with a visa, if it's on 90-day fiance, everybody's going to get married. If it's 90 days before the 90 days, how many first dates do you guys have that end up turning into marriages? And that's what it's like for us. It's going to be very, very rare. Paul did it. Who else did it on before the 90 days? I almost did it. Jeffrey might have swung it. I don't know there, but that would be rare. That would actually be rare. There was some comment I saw that I was going to have an answer for. Cried when I met Lana on 90 days. No, I didn't cry when I met her. I don't think I cried on the show at all. On the show, I cried at the tell-all and whatever, but people think I cried because I lost Lana. No, I cried because of the meeting. Every time you didn't, well, on some of the scenes, because I've seen she turned her face away from the camera, she's just too shy. And then I know she was super nervous because I hadn't met her parents yet. So now she just said yes to marry me, and I haven't even met her parents yet. So I know she was very worried about how is she going to tell her parents, what was going to happen. But so she tells now, she says, well, what happened? How come you proposed? And I said, well, because the show likes a proposal scene. You guys know that. Everybody, they want the proposal scene. So I jumped the gun and did it at the end of the show there, instead of waiting another month to go out there on another trip, because I wanted to get the paperwork started for the visa. It takes forever. So when somebody asked her later in some questions or whatever on Instagram, like, what about the proposal or whatever, and she said, oh, that was the idea of the show, because that's what I told her, that it was because the show wants the proposal scene, but the proposal was real. You just don't. She was pissed off about something when answering that, and when Lana says something, she just says like one-liners at a time. She does. Everybody said, oh, well, she does speak English. No, Lana did not speak English at the time, but Lana was fluent in reading and writing. She'd been online for 9 years, and if you're typing out stuff for 9 years, you learn. But nobody's ever talking to her, and she's not talking to anybody. So she couldn't hear it, and she couldn't speak it, but she was fluent in reading and writing. So if you saw us with a phone, I was using my phone, and she was typing on the phone, she was typing in English. And then I would press the button to have it translate, but it was really just saying what she was writing, and I'd write in English, and she knew what was being said on the writing. So when we were on the phone, we were mostly using English, because she's fluent in reading and writing, but not in speaking and listening. If you see her on Cameo, I wrote the intro for her. She writes what she wants to say on Cameo and then has the translator say it so she knows what it sounds like and how to say it, and then you will see her eyes reading it. Everything she does on Cameo is read off of paper that she wrote down. That's how she does it. But it's now been, and people say, oh look, she speaks English 2.5 years later. Do people not think? 2.5 years later, she's had 2.5 years now to study more English. I can also visit Romania. I've never been to Romania. I know I will someday. Actually, there's probably nothing you can say where I'm going to say, oh, I'm not going to go there. Everything is going to be, I'm going to see it. Literally everything in the world I want to go see. Somebody says, you're living the American dream. And everybody can. It doesn't cost that much to actually do this. If you don't maintain a home here, but you want to go travel somewhere, you're going to rent an Airbnb or something. You're going to rent somewhere in another country the same as you would rent an apartment here. That's going to be the same cost, maybe slightly higher because it's going to be short-term, not long-term. The only cost you're going to have is moving cost. You're still going to be cooking food. Everything else is going to be the same. The only thing you're going to have that's going to be an expense you wouldn't expect would be whatever it costs you to move from that location to another one 3 times a year, 4 times a year, 5 times a year, whatever you can afford. So I know there's a lot of people out there that do that, travel the world and live in different cities five times a year, and they do it on about $50,000. Now we've got inflation, so we're going to have to up it. But about $50,000 is all they say they do it with. Now, fortunately, I don't have to do it with just $50,000, but that's the kind of life that I want to live. I have not been to Australia. I actually was offered a job there and I turned it down. And then when I did casino stuff, you guys don't know the work I did in casinos. If you have a player's card and you stick it in a machine, I created that system. The accounting system for slot accounting and the player tracking system, I created those years and years ago. And we went and we got a client in Australia, and they asked me that on a different job, a second job. I was going to go work in Australia for Borland International, the software company. That's where I worked. And then I got a job in the casino company, and we got a customer to install in a casino, the first casino in Australia. And I can't even remember which city it was now. And they were trying to get a bunch of the employees of the company. We didn't have that many, and they needed a bunch came about, and I don't know where they got those numbers. The numbers they show for me are way low. So I don't need to bring in any income to live. Plus, I've got a pension, a decent pension where I don't have to spend any investments. I can just live on the pension. The last 2 years, I've just lived on my pension. Don't have to spend any of the investments. And you can do the same thing. I've told some people what I do or how to do it, and I didn't start doing it until I think I was like 35 when I finally said, you know what? I'm not going to have the kind of business I thought I was going to have to sell for retirement.